Let's talk about this Punk thing. I know you and Jeff J had a uh very good long form conversation about it last week. I got a chance to listen to it on the way back here to California.
Mm-hmm.
Agree with a lot of things.
Which parts did you roll your eyes at?
I didn't realize any of it.
Okay. All right. Just making sure, man.
I
Just making
respect you
sure.
too. I would only
I-
roll my eyes if I was on the phone with you, and I actually had to make up. If I was on the call with you, I would have rolled my eyes. But I mean, more stuff has come out. It's looking like it's looking like the buyout is happening. The elite are on the way back. Um, One thing I do not agree with. Okay, I do not like nor agree with the smear campaign that is happening. The now I'll start this off right now. I'm no fan of CM Punk, but if you want to make me feel bad for the guy, look at what they're doing to him right now. I want to ask you something, Meelz. He's had two less than stellar situations with two different companies at this point, right?
yes.
What? Why is there not that much? Like here's the thing: what WWE was fucked. What they did was fucked up. Okay, sending him the firing on his wedding day, whether it was accident or not, is still bad optics. Okay,
Right.
they largely stayed silent about a lot of that stuff,
Absolutely.
except for that one time. Didn't that one time they reposted a video of the kind of uh denying that he had that bump on his back or something like that, and they zoomed in on it. That remember that weird thing that happened?
Yeah. I'm not sure if they actually posted it or if
That
it
was
was like right. And it was just like for that evidence. I would say the only kind of public statements they made about it was via Stone Cold's podcast, which was also featured on the WWE network, where Triple H and or Vince McMahon at various times, talked about the CM Punk situation and what went down, and they gave their, very mum, but still probably truthful to them, maybe kind of discussions on it. And this is, I want to say, actually one was probably before the podcast and one was probably after the podcast, or maybe both was before, I forget.
yeah.
But that's kind of really the only thing they give on it. And then also, Stephanie McMahon, she throws a jab in every now and then. She's, the man lost in UFC in like 40 seconds and there's chanting his name. She has the right to address the people.
Right. That was crazy. But I look at both how both companies have handled this. One has handled this in a very insider way, not so publicly, but very much through the dirt sheets, so to speak, where they're now saying, and let's also be clear, Punk's his media game is terrible. If you want to get that dog story over, my brother, you should have did that a month ago when people had the sympathy for you. As this has gone on, the sympathy for him has gotten less and less, even though he was the one who, from what we hear, won the fight. So now it looks like the elite have won the fight. They've won public perception the same way they did with Cody. They can control the narrative however they want to. They're now saying that he walked in, he looked like a psycho. He didn't care that Mega, the second in command of AEW, was screaming. He was just like, "Fuck my dog, I don't care. I'm beating the shit out these niggas." He like all of this stuff. They just made him look like a raging lunatic. And I'm gonna say this right now. I'm not so sure that he is as raging. I will absolutely agree that he's a ornery, moody guy. We've seen this. We've even seen it in public interviews that they've done at AEW. I don't believe he was psychotic leading up to this. I can't believe a lot of these narratives. What about you, Meelz?
I can't believe the narrative that other people, especially former world champions, are putting out. Where like, I would have never worked with him. I requested never to work with him. And I'm like, to be honest with you, the narrative that CM Punk essentially brought no value to the business just based on how the numbers is. Newsflash, none of y'all are bringing that much value to anything. And the value is even worse now that he's not there. None of you guys are draws, to be honest with you. The only one who's a semblance of a draw seems to be MJF, and you can really only do that with long 15-minute talking segments. And you guys still have not realized this. I believe that CM Punk did add value to AEW because, once again, I said it last week, these are the kind of fans. CM Punk invented, well, I think you even said this in the Discord, CM Punk pretty much invented that AEW fan base. Like that fan base spurs off of a lot of his grievances that came from WWE, which fans themselves took and was like, oh, okay, this is also why we don't like WWE. And they saw him as a martyr to be like, yes, this is everything that's wrong with the business. We agree with him. This is our guy. And for them to necessarily like shut him out, smear his, put a smear campaign all over and say like he brought nothing to the business. He was always a crabby guy, which may or may not be true. But to say like all these various different things, and I'm like, bro, there is no way in hell you guys signed him for as much money as you did and didn't think that he brought anything to the business. Because now y'all look stupid. And to be honest with
And I
you,
think
they
that,
should look stupid because they sign a lot of people for money and don't use them in the ways that you sign someone that you pay that much as.
yeah, and I think again, you were warned. You were warned that this might happen. What contingency plans did you have in case this did happen? As we saw after the fight happened, they had none. What contingency plans did you have
Resign Moxley. Resign Moxley.
when you
Yep.
exactly like when you knew, you know he is crabby, you know he is generally discontent, you know what gets him that way. I think he was really dealt the like. Listen, I was laughing my ass off, and what he did was wrong. Let's just be clear. You should not be doing that shit. You're an employee, bro. You're not a boss. And you beat up the bosses. Anyone can do that, and you're gonna get fired, right? But I think what they did was it was really smart. They drove him to this, and I think they used his emotions against him. And I think Punk, being in his 40s, should have known better that they would use that against him. They would use the fact that the Colt Cabana thing was happening against him, and they played it perfectly. I think they played this perfectly. They look like victims, Meelz. They look like they were victims of CM Punk, and I think that that is crazy because where do we get these rumors from? Where do they just show up out of nowhere? Nobody knows. Where do these rumors go? Meelz, do you believe that he got Colt Cabana fired?
No, Colt Cabana still works there.
Exactly, or
I
he got a move. I was like,
I do
and
believe that what
they
I'll
kept
say
him
is
apart.
yeah, I'll say that. I'll say I do believe that Tony Khan in the best interest for business because that he had this kind of like value guy who had such a major thing. He kept them apart for very, very long, and that was Colt Cabana not really being there, to be honest with you. And the only one who will tell us about this situation is probably Colt Cabana. Um,
And if you have the opportunity to get CM Punk, you fucking sign him. You know what I mean? Like you take that opportunity. If you have the money, you have the opportunity. I don't blame Tony for doing it. I'm just saying that even before you did it, you have been warned. I know people warned you. I know Jericho probably warned you. I know Cody probably warned you. They've worked with the guy. They've been in locker rooms with the guy. I know they warned you. I'm not putting all of this on CM Punk because he is going to continue to be, for better or for worse, the guy that he is. And now you got buyer's remorse, and he's a piece of shit. He's a psycho, all this other stuff. I'm like, bro, y'all really drove him to do this. And there's nothing more than I hate Meelz that I have to defend this man right now. There is nothing more that I hate than having to defend this man. But this is crazy.
according According to Fightful Select was told by numerous sources that Chris Jericho approached Punk unhappy about the brawl out. Why do they keep calling it brawl out? Fight as well as the nature of the scrum had just taken place. Jericho told CM Punk he was a cancer to the locker room and a detriment to the company. And I was like, wait, was this before or after he was kicking people? He was kung fu fighting in the fucking locker room. Like, I'm I'm so confused. If Jericho knew all of this, why sign him? Why even tout that the signing is there? You know why? Because they're trying to do what's best for business. And at one time, CM Punk was absolutely best for business. And I still think in the long term, I think they missed out on a very long-term opportunity because I do think he would still be great for the business. They need someone like CM Punk. There's a lot of new guys in AEW who, quite frankly, either are not getting the time and he can speak up for them, or just don't know how to create compelling enough stories for people to kind of like sit down and actually pay attention to. And that's what I think CM Punk brought to AEW.
But the
Go ahead.
issue is, and when they talk numbers, there's no doubt about it that CM Punk brought in $1 million gate. He raised ratings for a period of time. Okay,
They went to Chicago 16 times between August and, and September of this
those
year.
rate those ratings slid though. They did slide. There were some low moments. I can't. And the thing is that the reality of CM Punk, and that goes from his in ring to his behind the scenes to literally the ratings too. That is his reality. He is popular to a specific subset of fans, but not necessarily a lot of mainstream ones. Like we can
Can
say
I
this. 'Cause we have
Can I say
proof.
one thing though? Just one thing. I do not blame the slide of the ratings on him. I blame the slide of the ratings on lack of AEW able to make compelling television. Because I
That's
guarantee,
true.
and I, when whether or not this happens, I bet if you put CM Punk in a WWE ring, something will pop up. Whether it be a rating, if you put him on Fox, and ratings are already good on Fox, so maybe that's a bad thing. But if I mean a bad example because ratings are already good on Fox, but I guarantee you, if you put him in a WWE ring with a WWE story with compelling things against people who not necessarily people who are very experienced at what they do, because I don't want to shit on the AEW roster itself because they have really nothing to do with this entire situation, but overall how the companies kind of run, there is a lack of emphasis on the storytelling and there's a lack of emphasis on actually making good television. And that is the reason why things have slid. People don't need to tune in if there's nothing worth tuning in for. CM Punk is talking for what? What does CM Punk have to talk about? He's been here every week. I don't want to see
Or
CM
he's on
Punk talks.
commentary. Or he's on
Yeah,
commentary. That was another big one. Like he would be on commentary.
bruh.
Like what
Why do you need? Why
I
then? Why are you there?
somebody said this perfectly, right? And whether we agree or disagree, whatever, because I didn't watch the show for largely a large period of this time.
Sorry,
Oh,
just one more thing though. He spent after he feuded with Darby Allin, he spent like 3 months feuding with Team Taz, bruh.
well, he was
And we're
he was attempting to get those guys over. I wouldn't have done it, but I get it. I wouldn't have done it, but I get it. He was trying to get those
as
guys
the
over.
second feud. No, no.
True, true. So, someone said that they feel as though Tony Khan had perfectly mapped out the first 2 years of AEW, right down to the title changes. I think it was OSW said it. I watched their thing on the Scrum in preparation for this episode. I watched a bunch of promos in preparation for this episode. That he passed the first 2 years. They say the cutoff is Adam Page's title win. They say after that title win, Tony had no clue where else to go. Had no clue what the fuck else to do. And it's hard to not see that being true because after that there was nothing. He had no clue what to do. I could say that a lot of people probably thought the TV was really bad at that point, actively bad. And now you have a situation where because of the way that you run your company, after the Cody thing happened and all of that stuff went down, I am still trying to figure out how they allow Punk to go on television, say that shit to Adam Page, and they not nip it in the bud that night and have them talk that night. Even the night he did that shoot, whatever, I got to commend Punk for not losing it on him. If that was really the shoot that set it all off.
Hey man, if he beating people up, yeah. If he was out here kicking ass, I do applaud. I guess the being able to like hold out on that, but nah,
The
please keep
restraint.
going.
Say
Yes,
that. I'll say the restraint is crazy on that because he comes out after that, but the same way I did the Cody his final promo. Remember that? I always tell people to
yes.
listen to that promo. Listen very closely to that. I was listening to the Adam Page thing, and that was not just about Adam Page. That was about a lot of people who wanted to come out. He was trying to fight him that night, Meelz. He had months to stew on that. As the rumors when he was out, that's when all the rumors of the locker room not liking him came out after he injured his foot. And I was like, that's so weird. The smear campaign started literally after he won the title. Literally. This man did not last a year in this company. He did not last a year. He was out by his anniversary, Meelz. That is the craziest story in wrestling.
Hey
In a,
man,
in a, in a,
listen.
in a year of crazy stories, I would say it's probably Vince, one, This shit is probably number two as far as implosions.
Because how do you fumble it? That what other major, not to say that every major star has the same problems that CM Punk has, but like if this is how we're doing it, like bruh, you can't keep CM Punk, the one guy who bolsters the audience that you have. No, he doesn't do crossover thing. But I also blame that once again on the company because they make no attempts to appeal to anything other than, you know, the people that they are. You're going to hear this week, probably from Quan, about going to the live show, going to their live Rampage Dark, whatever it is, and it being a terrible, terrible, terrible show that's only filled with wrestling and absolutely nothing else. It is AEW is the major problem for AEW, and to act like CM Punk was this big black eye on the business is just something that's covering it up. Because you have Chris Jericho in a mighty high position. Chris Jericho benefits from all of this because he is the top guy there and he's the most recognizable person there. So anything he says is gonna go. But if you had somehow signed John Cena, Roman Reigns, to Undertaker, Edge, anything like that, Chris Jericho moves down that list, and you know what? Chris Jericho ends up probably leaving if they sign a
Yeah,
few other bigger
I
stars
was
than him.
I was just gonna say that Jericho would have quit. He would have been like, it's just like
Yeah.
the old days.
He is benefiting from the mere fact that he is the top dog in this company because he is the only one outside of the WWE bubble. He's literally the only one.
Your core locker room leaders, as it stands, this is according to Wade Keller, is John Moxley, Daniel Bryan, and Chris Jericho. I would not take direction from two of them. I would probably listen to Moxley. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I feel like he has a real emotional connection to those guys in there. That's a good signing to make this the Moxley company. Bryan, absolutely not. Absolutely not. When has he ever been a leader?
Bryan loves wrestling, and that is okay.
That's fine.
But other than that,
you're not leading me to nothing but damnation, Armageddon, bro. I'm absolutely not. I'm not listening to Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho. I'm 100% not listening to. So like it really is like really sick that's what's going down. And the Elite are back. The Elite are back. I would expect them to lay out thinly veiled shots at CM Punk because they won. They won. Regardless of what Tony may have wanted to do, Meelz, the burden of proof falls on Punk for starting the fight. And they had a
yes.
bunch of witnesses that he started the fight. And that's why he has to go. If it was up to Tony, I swear to you, he probably would not have had to make this decision that he has to make right now.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
But the burden of proof is on CM Punk, and that's why he's losing. So before we end this topic, do you think that CM Punk will return to WWE, or is it too early to say?
I don't think it's too early to say. I do think he will return to WWE at some point in the future. He's currently injured for whatever reason. Do I think he's going to run over to WWE? No. But I do think that talks will begin. And I think what can happen is what's probably going to happen, which probably should have happened in AEW, is that conversations will begin that will smooth over everything that happened in 2014 because the old regime is not there and they can promise a new direction of the company. If Vince McMahon is still there, does CM Punk come back? I would probably say no, not really. But with Triple H in charge, I mean, once you get over that hurdle, and Triple H, quite honestly, he's more so about the business. So unless there's an actual like thing they cannot really find a place on, it's probably going to happen.
At best, Punk will be a super part-time person that only I can't call if he's going to do Saudi Arabia, but I could see him showing up January leading to April, disappearing, showing up July leading to August, disappearing, and then not coming back and doing that type of schedule. He's going to be on a
But
Goldberg schedule.
he should have done that in AEW, which to me was
Right.
blowing my mind. Like that to me, literally sitting there, no offense to Team Taz, feuding with Team Taz, sitting there on commentary and getting beat up by Will Hobbs for whatever fucking reason. And like coming here every week, I think that was the reason why you can't take CM Punk every week. You clearly need him in short doses, and he also needs wrestling in short doses because there, as week by week, he's gonna get crabby. He's like, why these niggas keep having the same snacks? Why are these the same guys still playing video games in the hallway? Don't they have something better to do? Why don't they, why these people keep talking about me? Who's that they keep texting on the phone? How come everyone, knows Sean Ross Sapp by his first name only? Like what like there's gonna be so much stuff backstage that like he needs a part-time schedule. He's a part-time guy, and there ain't nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.